Hey y'all. So, some comments that I keep hearing the most are, how are you so free and confident after going through what you went through? And my answer is easy. Praise is what I do. But that answer wasn't always correct. Okay. There was an embarrassed little girl, and I do say little because that's how I felt. Um, she was afraid, she was hurt, she was angry, she was depressed, but she always wore her smile, and that was her poker face, that was her facade. And she never admitted her defeat. But something about hearing Sarah Jakes Roberts read Luke 8:49 through 56 in her sermon, Girl Get Hugged, changed all that.
All right, Luke 8, verse 47. I'm going to read out of the New King James Version, and my text begins, it says, "Now when the woman saw that she was not hidden, she came from," I lied. I'm verse 49. It's all right, guys. God knows my heart. Luke 8 and 49. Okay, it says, while he was still speaking, someone came from the ruler of the synagogue's house saying to him, "Your daughter is dead. Do not trouble the teacher." But when Jesus heard it, he answered him saying, "Do not be afraid, only believe, and she will be made well." When he came into the house, he permitted no one to go in except Peter, James, and John, and the father and the mother of the girl. Now all wept and mourned for her, but he said, "Do not weep. She is not dead, but sleeping." And they ridiculed him, knowing that she was dead. But he put them all outside, took her by the hand, and called, saying, "Little girl, arise." Then her spirit returned, and she arose immediately, and he commanded that she be given something to eat. And her parents were astonished, but he charged them to tell no one what had happened. My subject, for those of you who like to take notes, is Girl, Get Up.
So, we're going to talk about it. All right. Hello, my name is Liz. If you are new here on this channel, this is a safe space. I am a sexual assault and domestic abuse survivor who just wants to share things I wish somebody told me. So sit back, relax. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to let the YouTube gods know that I'm here. And we're getting a little personal. So pray for me. We're going to get into it. I do want to start off by saying this is my story. Some of it might be triggering to some, and I'm sorry. So, as much as I want to inspire someone who is there, I also care oh so much about your mental health. So, if need be, hit that thumbs up button before you exit. Trigger warning, guys. Trigger warning. So once upon a time, not long ago, there was a girl. Although she was grown, woman age, she was still very immature and naive when it came down to relationships. So at 19, I met a boy who showed all types of affection. I got pregnant 4 months into our relationship, and 4 times throughout my 8-year relationship. During that 8-year relationship, I suffered extreme mental, physical, and financial abuse. I did lose 3 children to the state. And the fourth one, my youngest daughter, she literally saved my life. And that's what gave me the courage to gain my freedom. So, as confident as I was obtaining freedom, I was still alone. I was 27 years old. I was fighting to keep parental rights of my fourth child. and struggling with extreme loneliness. So what did I do? I fell in love again, of course. So basically, I had every opportunity to go down the right path. I had moved to another state, got divorced, got full custody of my daughter. I got involved with church, and believe it or not, I was making huge progress. But yet and still, I decided to commit to a long distance relationship. And right after my daughter turned 1, I decided to move back to the toxic city that I was in and move back in with my man. Although he wasn't my original abuser, it turned ugly. It did. So I thought I was in a better situation. I was working. I wasn't homeless anymore, but at the end of the day, now that I think about it, was it really a better relationship? Well, mental abuse began. My dude Bo was basically using my previous damage to tear me down, and excuse his lies. So he would literally lie and cheat and demean me, and he used the fact that I had been abused before as his ammunition, you know? So how many opportunities did I have to leave? I had plenty. I had plenty of opportunities. But it wasn't quite physical at that point in time. It was more mental and emotional abuse. So I stayed because it wasn't that bad, And I was the type to be like, who am I without a 2-parent household for my daughter, me and her would be lonely. And because he didn't hit me, we had more good times than bad, in my opinion. So, yeah. I've always been a church girl. I know God will literally bring me out of hell if it's not meant for me. So I normally watch church sermons that popped up on my recommendations page on YouTube. 2 in particular, I made sure to tune into. I watched 2 in particular. One was Pastor Stephen Furtick with Elevation Church, and I also watched Sarah Jakes Roberts consistently. So I've always been that type of person. Hearing Sarah Jakes explain her beef with Eve.
I don't know if you are like me, but Eve and I, we've had a struggled, a strained relationship. I love Ruth, I love Esther, I love Mary, but Eve and I, we struggled for a long time because Eve just had one job. We were all vegan. I'm sure we had 6-packs, and God just told Eve to do one thing. And Eve failed miserably. And for a long time, we've struggled, she and I. And God has really convicted me about Eve because he told me that they don't allow pettiness in heaven, which was like a shock for me because I just wanted to pull Eve to the side right over by Gold Avenue and be like, girl, was the fruit even that good? Like, do you know we've been struggling in childbirth? All we want is a husband down here on earth because you couldn't keep your lips off of one little old fruit. Was it juicy, girl? Was it ripe? Did you enjoy it? Because the rest of us have been struggling. And God told me that I can't be petty in heaven. So I've been getting my life together. I've been working on my attitude. And he was like, Sarah, and I was like, yeah. And he was like, here's the thing. This is why you can't be upset with Eve, because you're not much better than she is. It was rude. Yeah. So I thought, wow, that's quite interesting that you would say that. And he goes, how many times have you known better but didn't do better? And I thought, well, that's different. That's different. I guess I have to forgive her Because when I look back over my own life, I see all of these times where I knew better, but I didn't do better. And all of this time, I've been accusing Eve as if I live on some type of high horse that allows me to look down on others who should have made a different choice, not realizing that I myself have found myself in positions where I knew better. I knew I should have left the relationship alone. I knew I shouldn't have spent the money, but I did it anyway, and I had to pay the consequences.
In the thorn in her flesh, I thought about Paul. And although I can't remember what exact sermon it was, I do remember hearing Pastor Stephen Furtick speak about Paul and his thorn in his flesh in 2 Corinthians 12. In this verse, it did something, y'all. It did something. Therefore, in order to keep me from being conceited, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger from Satan to torment me. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me, but he told me, my grace is sufficient for you. For my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more about my weakness, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That particular passage, mixed with Sarah's beef with Eve, sparked something huge in me. I remember the first time I watched the sermon, I had to stop because my ex kept interrupting, which is something that was completely normal when I spent my time with God and when I tried to meditate and when I tried to pray. He always found something. Okay. Always found something to interrupt me. And he knew what I was doing. He did it on purpose. But regardless, I knew that her words had stuck with me, and I knew that God wanted me to watch it. Every time I clicked on YouTube, that particular sermon popped back up. So obviously I took that as, hey, you really need to listen to this sermon because it's for you. So different channels, different cover photos, same words. Girl, get up. I purposely avoided it until I had time for myself to focus with no interruptions. Which was kind of hard. It did take me a while. But another thing that I did was learn about manifestation. And once I started researching what manifestation is, I realized it was faith in the unseen and showing gratitude for the things that I have and I don't have yet. Right? So my first attempt at manifestation is for my family to be happy again. But instead, things seem to be moving in the complete opposite direction. It was as if, like, my abuser was starting to do things that reminded me so much of my first abuser. I mean, triggers everywhere. And it sent me into, like, a rage. I was very angry, and I was also very depressed. Because if you know what I went through before, why would you try and do the same thing? Like, that was my whole thing. I mean, that's a hell of a mixture. You hear me? So every time he called me stupid for not remembering something or made me feel crazy for bringing something up that I knew for a fact, like, I know you're cheating on me. He made me feel completely crazy. I just became really angry about it because I'm not dumb, and I know I'm not dumb, and I know what I saw, and I know what I heard. But the little girl in me started wondering, like, maybe if I was so damaged that I was crazy, maybe I was just making this up. Maybe I was just seeing things, maybe I did have trust issues. So after a physical incident on the way home one night from work, because I forgot to do something, he decided to say something that burned me so bad, y'all, so bad. And, like, you would have thought I was standing next to a fire. Like, I was on fire. That's how mad it made me. His words were, I see why your ex used to beat your behind. Behind wasn't the word, but still. Just to say that to somebody who has previously been abused, that changed my manifestation. to please make my family happy, to God, please give me the strength to be able to be alone. Like, that was it. So I sat up that night listening to Girl Get Up and worshiping out loud. I didn't care that he was in the house at this point. I didn't care if he interrupted me. Me and my father were having a conversation, period. I didn't even care. Sarah Jakes Roberts, she told me, or I felt like she was talking to me. She said, there's always going to be a voice that tries to convince you not to go after the healing that you need. And that, you know, I still to this day feels like was his voice. Like, he was that voice. And I felt it. So the more that I worshiped, the more that I prayed, the worse the abuse got. But the less I cared about the abuse, it wasn't badly physical. So when I say the less I cared, I mean the less his words and actually hurt me. It was basically as if God was telling me, you are not this person that he says he is. Every time he said something crazy to me, called me stupid or dumb or crazy, or, you know, yelled at me about something demeaned me, I could hear, you know, God in the back of my head saying, that's not you. He's just saying that. That's not you. Like, I literally felt like I was walking around the walls of Jericho until God told me to sound the trumpet. And one day it happened. But unfortunately, it didn't really happen how I planned. I didn't just get up and walk away, you know. Sarah, it's something that Sarah said. Sometimes God will leave you down to nothing, so you know it was a miracle when it happened. So when my trumpet sounded, I had endured literally an entire night of physical abuse and sexual assault. Things were so bad that I left the emergency room with bruises covering my whole body. I had a fractured nose, fractured eye socket. I had bruises around my neck. I had bruises up and down my body. Like, I also had a concussion, and my 6-year-old at the time was completely confused and traumatized. He did go to jail, and I was done. There was no talking after that. There is nothing you could apologize to me about. I was completely done. Still am. So he got out on bail the next day. Y'all. So after he got on bail, he continued to cyberstalk me and harass me. He showed up at my job. He showed up at my house. He knew what was in my bank account, if I was cash apping somebody, who I called, who I text. He started calling the people that I was calling. He started texting the people that I was texting. He started making up like these horrible stories about me and the things that I was doing. It was insane. And believe it or not, his girlfriend, y'all, is the one that bailed him out. So on top of hearing from him, I was getting long letters worth of text messages, begging me to drop charges, not from him, but from his girlfriend. Begging me to drop the charges, begging me to talk to the state attorney and all that good stuff. But I had enough courage and faith in myself that I called the police each and every time. Every harassment incident, I had to call the police. I made a police report. I got my injunction. I attempted to change phone plans. I suspended his phone. Like, I did everything that I could possibly do to get him to leave me alone, which was really hard because I didn't even know throughout the 6 years that we were together how technical savvy he was. He knew how to do stuff with technology that I didn't even know. That is going to be a whole nother video, y'all. How to protect yourself after you leave the abuse. There's a lot of things that I see, and I do, read and try and research how exactly you're supposed to keep yourself safe when the police cannot. So that's going to be a whole nother video. Stay tuned. Turn that notification bell on. Make sure you subscribe and hit that thumbs up because it's coming soon. But anyways, I called the police each and every time, and eventually, after 3 months, his bond got revoked. He was back in jail, and that eventually sent him to prison. As terrifying as that time was, the good thing is I never lost faith. Never. I knew that this wasn't the first or the last time that God was going to deliver me from a horrible event. The way I saw it, I should have been dead a long time ago. With my first abuser, it's a miracle that I'm alive, and it's a miracle that I got 4 beautiful children out the relationship. So I knew God had my back. I knew it. People see who I am a year and a half later and ask, like, how are you so confident and free after going through all that crap? Because I'm not afraid to tell my story. I feel like if I don't tell my story, first of all, I'm not going to heal. Second of all, there's somebody else that needs to hear it. Somebody else. So when I say praise is what I do, it hits a little different. I'm not ashamed anymore. I'm not scared. I will admit that I do get depressed. I do suffer from PTSD symptoms. I've been diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety, and depression. So has my daughter. But when I shout, when I sing, when I pray, when I cry, I roar with confidence that God will never let me fail. Because He hasn't yet. So here I am today. If you don't get anything out of this video, I do want you to know that even in your lowest moment, you are not alone. Don't give in to anything that Satan has to say to you or about you, because your Father, He is the Savior for a reason. Keep your faith. Keep praising Him. Even if it hasn't happened yet, He's working on it. So be patient and don't stop shouting until the walls come down. Don't stop, because it's going to happen. I do hope that this touches somebody, anybody, or all of you. If you or anybody you know is going through domestic violence or sexual abuse, the National Domestic Violence Hotline and RAINN Sexual Assault Hotline are going to be posted in the description box, along with those who need the suicide help hotline. Our mental health and our healing will be affected by the abuse, and it's not just going to be a snap of the finger, you're going to get better. Okay? Unfortunately. So just make sure that you take care of yourself. Again, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment below. Let me know where you're from. Let me know if this has touched you in any way. Let me know if you feel I got anything wrong. And take care of yourself. All right. I love you all. Stay safe. Bye.